Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. The government rolls out a multi-billion-dollar package to boost employment. Hong Kong's COVID infections is in the fifth wave, surpassed 1 million. And Moscow keeps pounding Ukrainian cities amid reports that Russia's advance has slowed. The government is to spend up to $34 billion to help save jobs and assist those who lost theirs during the fifth COVID wave. About 1.6 million people are expected to benefit, as Hong Kong's unemployment rate rose to a 6-month high of 4.5%. Macy Mok reports.
In an attempt to stop the jobless rates from rising further, the government has relaunched the Employment Support Scheme. It aims to help mainly small and medium-sized enterprises, which have been hit hard by the fifth COVID wave. Employers will get subsidies for 3 months, starting in May. But the money must go to their workers who earn less than $30,000 a month. Each can receive $8,000 a month from May to July for a total of $24,000. Up to 1.3 million employees are expected to benefit from the scheme, which could cost the government around $31 billion. The scheme does not cover public organizations and statutory bodies. Neither will it include supermarket chains, which benefited from previous rounds, or certain companies with more than 50 employees, such as banks, pharmacies, and utility firms.
This scheme is intended to support employees through providing wage subsidies to their employers. So we will not draw a distinction between the resident status, ethnicity, or background of the individuals. The distinction will be drawn on the basis of the industry. So for certain business sectors which are not adversely affected by the COVID-19 epidemic, they will not be eligible.
The government also unveiled an unemployment fund of $3 billion. Those who lost their jobs during the fifth wave will be given a one-off handout of $10,000. That includes full-time, part-time, and self-employed workers. Also covered are those who were told not to work temporarily because their workplaces were forced to close under the current social distancing measures. Their monthly salary should have been between $2,700 to $30,000. This scheme is expected to benefit 300,000 people, and a 3-week application period begins on Wednesday. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Police have smashed 2 gangs accused of defrauding banks of more than $180 million by receiving loans meant to help businesses survive the COVID pandemic.
The syndicate member provided false bank statements and also the false MPF record as a proof of their business in order to deceive the bank that they have genuine business and their business volume were affected in the course of the pandemic.
The gangs submitted 80 applications to banks for the special 100% loan guarantee scheme. After an investigation, 38 people, including the alleged ringleaders and core members, were arrested for conspiracy to defraud. Another 20,000 new COVID cases today have pushed Hong Kong's tally in the fifth wave past 1 million. There were over 200 deaths overnight, with the youngest patient just 25 years old. Wong reports.
Hong Kong added 20,082 infections today, a drop for the second day in a row. Only 2 were imported. It's another indication that cases are going down again, according to health authorities. But they stressed it's still not time to relax yet, and people should still adhere to social distancing measures. The new infections officially pushed the city's fifth wave caseload past 1 million. Of the 206 people who died from COVID overnight, the youngest was a 25-year-old man with a long list of chronic illnesses. He had been suffering from cysts in the kidney, which led to issues with the organ's functioning and high blood pressure. Authorities said he was admitted to hospital on Saturday, but his condition quickly worsened. The man spent time in intensive care, suffered a cardiac arrest, and was intubated before he died yesterday. Around a dozen people under 60 died. Almost all of them had some form of long-term illness, including cancer, diabetes, kidney issues, and brain diseases. The number of deaths in the fifth wave so far stands at over 5,000. Officials say that's a rate of 0.5%, which means Hong Kong now has the highest COVID death rate in the world. Wong, HKIBC.
The chief executive has spoken against politicizing the issue of mainland health professionals who are helping Hong Kong fight COVID.
It is no easy task for these medical, nursing, and allied support professionals to come to Hong Kong because they all have a job in a medical institution in Guangdong. They all have a family that they want to see every night. But now they're putting down all these personal aspirations and rush to Hong Kong to help us save lives. So please, you can ask questions to understand more about their deployment, their contribution, and maybe their feelings in time to come. But don't make it into another political issue or related to media freedom and so on.
Lam's remarks came after a reporter from Now TV asked the hospital authority on Wednesday whether there's a channel for people to lodge complaints against the mainland medics in case of mishaps. The reporter was later criticized by pro-establishment newspaper Ta Kung Pao and former chief executive Leung Chun-ying. Now TV apologized for causing concern and discontent. Local COVID cases on the mainland more than doubled yesterday from Wednesday, with the bulk of the new infections in Jilin. The northern province accounted for 80% of the 2,388 infections. 16 city officials were penalized for failing to wipe out the virus within a week, as they had promised. Shenzhen, which was also locked down this week, saw cases dwindling to 70. But 8 officials lost their jobs as the tech hub didn't reach its goal of 0 infections. The mainland, meanwhile, has included Pfizer's anti-COVID pills as part of its treatment regime. Overseas, the United Nations has warned that the longer the conflict in Ukraine lasts, the harder it would be for people to rebuild their shattered lives. This comes as Western intelligence reports suggested that Russian forces made little territorial gain in the past week. A ferocious blaze ripped apart a depot in Kyiv as Russia continued shelling the Ukrainian capital. Long-range missiles triggered explosions and fires across the city and other parts of Ukraine. In sharp contrast, there was an eerie tranquility in the Black Sea port city of Odessa, which is bracing for a Russian assault from the sea. Some residents played chess on the streets where traffic flowed as usual, while others took precautions and retreated underground. Moscow's incursion has stretched into a 4th week, with major urban centers, including Kyiv, still in Ukrainian hands. Stiff resistance and logistical challenges have slowed the Russian ground advance. The United Nations warned of dire consequences if the conflict is protracted.
90% of the Ukrainian population could be facing poverty and extreme economic vulnerability should the war continue, setting the country and the region back decades and leaving deep social and economic scars.
The desperation was on full display in this neighborhood in Kyiv, where survivors of the Russian shelling waded through the rubble of what was once their homes. They included Mikhailo Dosenko, who was devastated when he saw his kitchen ruined. "I don't even know how to describe this," said Dosenko as he broke down in tears. That's a painful reminder that no matter which side wins the war, there's little remedy for human tragedies. A landmark telephone conversation between President Xi Jinping and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden could be a game changer in the Ukrainian conflict. The high-stake call follows a 7-hour meeting between China's top diplomat Yang Jiechi and U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in Rome on Monday. Washington is hoping that Beijing can press Moscow into ending the conflict in Ukraine, while warning of consequences if China offers military support. Separately, a senior Chinese security official told Russian Ambassador Andrei Denisov that Beijing is willing to tackle terrorism and deepen bilateral ties with Moscow. After going up and down sharply in the past 4 sessions, the local stock market ended the day slightly down. Investors are waiting to see what develops in context between the world's 2 biggest economies. Chloe Feng reports.
It's been a roller coaster week for investors, with the Hong Kong stock market plummeting to a 10-year low before rebounding on Wednesday with its best performance in 14 years. But after skyrocketing over the past 2 sessions, the Hang Seng Index ran out of steam and ended 0.4% lower today at 21,412 points. For the week, though, the benchmark gained 4.2%. The recovery came after Beijing calmed jittery investors by pledging more support for the capital market, but details have yet to come. Talks between the presidents of China and the United States are expected to shed more clues on the direction of the market. The Hang Seng Tech benchmark, which surged 30% in the last 2 sessions, ended the day down nearly 2%. Bilibili, which gained a whopping over 40% on Wednesday, led tech stocks lower, losing nearly 9%. JD.com, Alibaba, Meituan, and Tencent also lost ground on profit-taking. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 88 points. Top 10 active stocks: Tencent down $9, Meituan down $3.90, Tragafun down 2 cents, and Alibaba down $3.65. JD.com down $10.60, Ping An up $2.65, and Li Ning down $3.35. Forwards trading against Hong Kong dollar. Euro is trading at 8.62, British pound at 10.26, and Australian dollar 5.77. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is down almost 40 points. Some swimmers, angered by the government decision to close public beaches, decided to ignore the ban. Many took a dip as Hong Kong was blanketed by fog. Isaac Lee reports.
The city woke up to a heavy mist. From Hong Kong Ferry Pier, one could hardly see the skyscrapers on the other side of the harbour. The city was shrouded by fog caused by a humid maritime airstream that is affecting the coast of southern China. Early this morning, visibility in central and the outlying islands dropped below 200 meters. But that didn't keep some enthusiastic swimmers away from public beaches, even though they were closed yesterday to stop people from gathering without masks. This woman criticized the government's decision to seal off beaches. Do not force senior citizens to give up their hobbies, she said. This man, who swims every morning, was not worried about the risk of infection. He said he has been vaccinated, adding that people who swim frequently are stronger and healthier. Isaac Lee, HKIBC.
On to the weather now. There will be sunny periods tomorrow with low visibility in the morning. Temperatures range between 21 and 27 degrees. Sunday will be mainly cloudy, while Monday will have a misty start. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. And that's our main news for Friday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Sarah Wong. Good night.